Inside the gazebo, the little girl from the Causeway Beach appeared to be having a tea party.
Oh, it's you again.
Mallory, what are you doing here on the Belmore estate? I thought all the locals were too scared to wander around here.
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm having a tea party for my birthday. Happy birthday to me.
How cute. And what are you talking about with your new doll?
Our strategy for conquering mortal civilization.
Right.
It's rude not to introduce yourself, you know.
Mallory, have you been practicing ventriloquism?
Are you calling me a dummy?
You can talk?
I'm a head. Talking is one of the few things I can specialize in.
I didn't know that.
You didn't ask. My name, now that you're listening, is Sir Edward Teddington, or as Miss Wisp here calls me,
Shrunken Ted.
You're not doing very much tea drinking at your tea party.
I couldn't get a handle on the physiology of it. No arms, hands, or esophagus makes this a little trickier than it used to be.
And I am drinking it. Watch.
Not a fan?
Maybe it's an acquired taste.
But an important one to acquire. Tea was the fuel of the British Empire.
Then maybe it would be better in a gas tank.
Mallory was handling the teacup with the tentativeness of a toddler being given castor oil. So, Ted, that whole time I was carrying you around in my pocket...
Picking me up and stuffing me inside your vest without even a good evening? That's the living for you nowadays. Rude.
I'm very sorry. I've just never encountered a shrunken head that could talk to me before.
Maybe you have, and you just never introduced yourself.
I suppose, but I can't go around introducing myself to every inanimate object that I'm carrying on the off chance that they're supernaturally possessed, can I?
Did you just call me an object? That's objectification right there.
Mallory, you shouldn't be inside the Belmore estate. Don't you know about the disappeared wedding?
You're asking a little girl about murder, black magic, and broken hearts?
Sorry, I don't want to give you nightmares.
Are you kidding me? I love this stuff! I wrote a paper on it last semester that prompted a parent-teacher intervention.
Haven't you seen the Phantom?
The grumpy guy in the tall hat? Yeah, I've seen him through the windows of the house.
Doesn't he give you nightmares?
Sure does, but those are the kind of dreams I like.
Do you know Sebastian Bach?
Unfortunately.
Why didn't you tell me?
I did.
Okay, yes, you did, but didn't you think it was worth mentioning he was a ghost?
I didn't think you'd be interested. Most grown-ups just don't believe me.
So you can see ghosts?
Ugh, I wish I couldn't. Most of them don't shut up, wailing through the windows all the time. Sebastian's the worst, the booger-brained bighead. Thinks he knows everything.
But the ghosts weren't visible until I cast the summoning spell.
To you, maybe. I mean, they're a lot more visible now. They were just shadowy, glowy things before.
The fact that I conducted an occult spell seemed to be lost on her. Knowing what I did about her, she probably did the same every day before breakfast. It was Sebastian that made you get the tin boat. He altered the toy catalog.
I knew it! Well, that's it. He's going to the top of the hit list once I'm Queen of the Universe. If you see him, tell him Pac's in for a shock.
How did you end up as a shrunken head, Ted?
Can you believe this, Mallory? Asking about physical impairments just as brazenly as you like.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize it was a sore subject.
Well, I'll tell you anyway. Me and the old boys were embarking on a race to the Caribbean, known as the Coconut Rally. 14 days, 14 islands, with only what you can carry on your back to sustain you. It was all going so well, until day 9, when I was told to seek out a tribe of pygmies. Perhaps I got a bit lost, because the village I found was populated by villagers of average height.
Didn't that clue you in that you were in the wrong place?
I thought maybe they were just exceptionally tall pygmies. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, you know. They were a very welcoming people, filling me up on pork and bananas, a nice hot bath in a pot they hung over the fire, but it turns out they held a different philosophy when it comes to head placement and proportion. Still, no use grumbling. That's not the British way. Stiff upper lip. That's what we need.
Ted, how did you end up on Devil's Rock?
I was brought back here on a merchant ship by a strange man in a top hat who settled on me as a souvenir. Can you believe it? The indignity of being swapped and saying I was only worth 2 chickens.
I'd say at least 3.
Exactly!
And now you're helping a little girl take over the world, Ted?
Look, I was a little late getting in on the British Empire, and now its height has passed me by. I don't want to miss out again. This is my opportunity to get my foot on the ladder of a new attempt.
More like your chin on the ladder.
Very funny. You know, I have other interests too. You really need to get to know me as a person. I'm very well-rounded.
Of course you're round. You're just ahead.
The jokes just keep coming, don't they?
May I have a cup of tea?
Nope.
Now, Mallory, what were we saying about manners?
Oh, yes, right. How do I put this delicately? I'm afraid this is a private engagement exclusively for the Sisterhood of Darkness.
Precisely. Remember, we may be planning on enveloping the world with a new totalitarian empire led by yourself as queen, but that's no reason to be impolite. Manners cost nothing. However, in this case, it is a private engagement.
Could I have your teacup if you're not drinking it?
I am drinking it! Well, I would if it didn't taste so bitter.
Well, I'll leave you two to your plans.
Long live the Sisterhood!
It was a small teaspoon for the tea party. Do you mind if I take this?
Good idea. You can be my butler.
A dying tree stood next to the balcony, its branches devoid of leaves, its bark flaking away. The barrel had smashed on the ground, revealing its dark, syrupy sweet contents. Molasses. I dunked the teaspoon into the molasses.
Then we bribe the kindergarteners and use them for espionage.
Shh, shh, shh. He's back.
What did you just put in my tea?
Try it now.
Careful, Mallory. It could be poisoned.
Does this dope look smart enough to brew poison?
Good point. You'd probably give it a taste test. Bottoms up, my girl. Drink on.
Hey, that tastes pretty good.
I thought you'd like it.
Sure did. I drank the whole cup.
Let me clear this away for you.
Good, butler. You shall be spared the dungeons.
It was strange to think that I'd been supernaturally trapped within the house, and that despite that, I felt compelled to go back in.
Welcome back, Murphy McCallan. Take a seat.
It was a portrait of the scientist Cecil Belmore. It was a portrait of the explorer Xavier Belmore. It was a portrait of the actor Yardley Belmore. I've brought you the tea leaves.
Wonderful. That will work to contact Yardley. Be quiet now, Murphy. I need to concentrate. Yardley Belmore, heed our plea. Where was your life stolen from thee? I sense a crypt, deep below the ground, where Yardley, unknown to him, has been drugged among alcoves of the dead. Yardley is still alive as brick by brick. He is being entombed within the crypt. The drug may wear off, but he has no means of escape. Trapped! Look at the painting! Yardley's body is still bricked up inside that crypt. The Sanctuary Crypt. You must find a way inside. There is a tunnel, once used for safety, but now used for salvation. Something in Yardley's bedroom will help you.
It was a wall-mounted mirror surrounded with bulbs, like one you'd find in the dressing room of a theater. 2 tanks stood beside the dressing table, absent of any information of what was inside them. It was a machine hooked up to tanks with hoses and labeled "Property of the Calliope Theater, Dead Men." The chest contained only a myriad of theatrical costumes, not one of which I wanted to wear around the island. I had more urgent things to do than cozy up with a book. It was a book on magic tricks, open to a double-page spread about vanishing illusions. Well, Yardley had certainly accomplished that. As I descended back into the cellar, the lack of mechanical noise quickly revealed that the barrel lift was no longer working. I took the chamber pot back off the machine. Life continued on in Dead Nettle, its citizens oblivious to the supernatural struggle happening on the far side of the island. Even with their predilection for local legend, I doubted they'd believe me if I told them.
Welcome back!
Good evening, Mr. Crumb.
How can I help you?
How come you're working so late?
Well, the wife's gone to visit her cousin Winnie for a few days. And if I stayed in my bedroom, I'd just start going loopy.
I'm looking for 3 keys.
No, unless they're the gem-encrusted keys to a lady's heart, I don't think I can help you. I'm a jeweler, not a locksmith.
Have you heard of something called the Coffin Stone? Jasper's eyes grew to double their size with a look of both excitement and fear.
How do you know about that?
I'm starting to think it's real.
I thought you didn't believe my tale about the ghost ship.
I do now.
Then I'm happy to tell you everything I know. Now, don't be telling anyone this, but I've read the captain's log, and the Coffin Stone was what murdered my great-great-grandfather's crew. Try telling people that a little bit of rock could allow a single pirate to overrun a galleon, and you're laughed at. But that's exactly what he says happened. 86 crew members, all killed by a magic stone. Their souls dragged from their bodies.
Who was wielding the stone?
A pirate called Captain Skelet. Truth be told, he wasn't much of a pirate for the first years of his career on the high seas. But almost overnight, he became the most feared gentleman ever to fly the black flag.
What happened to him?
Nobody knows.
And the stone?
Nobody knows that either. But if you hear anything, do tell me.
I think I'll just look around for now.
I'm here if you need me.
Would you be able to polish my brooch again?
Goodness me, what have you been doing with it?
Oh, you know, just the usual wear and tear.
I don't know how anyone does this much tearing while wearing. But hand it over and we'll shine her up.
With Jasper distracted, it was time for his fish to move into its new porcelain-throne home. Hopefully it didn't suffer any indignity at the change of residence, but then, being a goldfish, it would probably soon forget anyway.
Here you go. I've wrapped it in a little tissue paper this time so it doesn't get dirty again.
Thank you.
But really, sir, this many polishings in one night might be approaching my limit. I certainly understand the appeal of a good flash, but I don't know how many more times tonight I can cope with this.
Hello, my name's Murphy McCallan.
Hello, chum. Looking to hire a ferry?
Maybe?
Then come set sail with Crab Macready, when a ferry's really what you needy.
Crab's breath hit my face like a custard pie, a cloud of air reeking of cigarettes and stale beer.
Look, here's a promotional flag, so you can keep me in mind.
I'll treasure it.
Now, I can take you anywhere on the coast. Where are you looking to head to? Do you have a partner or an illicit liaison in mind? I do a very romantic sunset cruise.
Is this your ferry? It looks like it's held together with spit and glue.
That's right, but rest assured, my spit is remarkably viscous. You find yourself aboard the Creaky Crab 2. I am her captain, Crab Macready. I get most of my business ferrying over to the mainland when the tide's covered up the causeway.
Are you a member of the Captain's Club?
Oh, they banned me, those pompous buffoons. That Felix is full of himself.
What happened?
There used to be a club parrot called Squawkin' Hawkins, until he was taken away, bird-napped, I'd say. See, I'm a big bird lover. They're very intelligent creatures, and I used to try to teach him poetry. Well, Felix Greer wasn't having none of that. I think he was getting jealous that the bird had more brains than him. He kicked me out. Well, I got a little upset, like anybody would. Words were exchanged, loudly, and he told me I wasn't welcome back. The cheek of it. Kicking me out when I'm a hard-working captain. That landlubber would get seasick using a washcloth.
Why do you like birds so much?
They're the sailors of the sky, even the ones that can't fly. You tell me, have you ever looked an emu in the eye and not felt a sense of kinship? Seen that look that says he wants to explore beyond the horizon?
I've never imagined an emu thinking anything different to that.
I love anything with a beak, except platypuses. Don't get me started on them. Now, I take it upon myself to look after the feathered friends on this island. Squawking Hawkins now lives on a perch on my balcony. I have a name for every seagull that flies over Dead Nettle. And I look after Doris.
Doris?
Doris the chicken, over at Baxter's Mill.
What happened to the Creaky Crab 1?
That's it over there, with its bow peeking out of the water. I was out in the bay last Mardi Gras and looked down into the inky depths. Honest to God, I saw a mermaid staring back at me. I rushed back into Dead Nettle with such fervour I forgot to slow the engine once we reached the docks.
Was it really a mermaid you saw?
Nah, turned out I'd forgot to take my wig off from the costume contest that night, and I'd just seen my own reflection.
I'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Welcome back, Murphy McCallum. Take a seat.
Will this work as a crystal ball?
Considering our circumstances, we will have to make do. Xavier Belmore, hear our cry! Where does your mortal body lie? I sense a cave on the island coast. Waves thrashing, wind howling, and two figures exploring its darkest depths. Xavier and Rackham. Rackham has lured Xavier here, promising an unparalleled expedition to the bold adventurer. But it's a trap. I sense Rackham fleeing the cave, leaving Xavier as the water rises and rises and rises. Look at the painting. Xavier's body still lies in that coastal cave. I feel much danger there, but you must get a boat and cross the sea to reach it. I sense something in Xavier's bedroom might help you locate it.
Above the fireplace, framed but without any glass, hung what looked to be a pirate map. I reached up and took the map from the frame. As best as I could tell, this was a genuine pirate treasure map. The island I recognized as Devil's Rock, but what stood out to me was the large X in red ink on the southern coast, marked Crossbone Cove. At least I hoped it was ink. The latch on the trunk was broken. I would have to do without whatever was inside. I stared at the glassy black eyes of the bear rug. It didn't stare back. That was a relief. The tide was still high as I returned to the Causeway Beach, while the sands were now the purlieu of a rather strange gentleman jabbing at the rocks with a walking stick. I picked up the vacuum flask from the portable table. The wiry man was diligently searching the beach, looking like the awkward love child of Sherlock Holmes and a praying mantis.
Careful where you step! Look! Another one!
Another what?
A pebble! Don't step on them.
There are pebbles all over this beach. There's not many places I could stand that don't have them.
But they could be important.
I opened the tap on the gas tank. Nozzles hissed, a cloud of cold mist billowed out, and from the machine came a smattering of dry ice. It was a mound of dry ice that had clattered out of the machine. I collected the dry ice in the flask. That would keep it from melting, at least for the time being. Returning to St. Juniper's Church, it was clear by the illuminated windows and the repetitive hum of a newly placed generator that the rum runners had made themselves at home.
Musket! Did you hear that?
Will you stop twitching, Morris? You're making me nervous.
Sorry, boss. I just don't know if we should be doing this.
Doing what?
Using a church for morally dubious activities. Theology lays out pathways and guidelines to keep us on the moral road to righteousness.
Did one of those barrels hit you on the head, Morris? Quit your belly aching. What's the worst that could happen?
I'm getting the spooks, boss. This church has a lot of dead people. What if they don't like us being in here?
Is that what you're worried about? Ghosts ain't real. Now hush up about it.
I don't know, boss. The scientific consensus on paranormal activity still seems to be inconclusive. I read a book about it last week, and it's really giving me the heebie-jeebies.
What have I told you about reading? It's no good for you. It gives gives you delusions of grandeur and indigestion.
Sorry, boss.
Just for the sake of argument, this book you was reading. What did it say about ghosts?
It said that there are 3 signs for detecting paranormal activity.
What's the first sign?
First, the temperature drops as the ghost's presence descends upon the locality.
Well then, until we start getting the chills, there ain't nothing to worry about.
I'm getting the shivers, boss. It feels like I got a brain freeze, and I ain't even slammed down a snow cone.
You don't got a brain to get froze. It is feeling chilly though, ain't it?
That's the first sign of ghosts, boss.
Don't be a crybaby. But, just for safety, what's the second sign of ghosts?
The ghost's presence begins to interfere with the electric fields, most commonly seen manifesting as flickering lights.
Against the church wall, a gasoline generator puttered away, with cables running into the church through a shattered window. Looking at the fuse box, it was clear to see why the barrel lift no longer moved. The fuse had blown, taking the small glass cover with it. With questionable regard for my own safety, I pulled the damaged fuse from its socket. The box was filled with assorted fireworks. No expense was being spared on the wedding after-party. I took one of the fireworks. The logo on the side revealed that it was called the Whizzer. I'd known a boy in elementary school with the same nickname. If flickering lights were what would scare the rum runners, it was time to do some rewiring. I turned the dial to redirect the electricity through the faulty fuse.
Boss! The lights are flickering!
That's gotta be a coincidence.
Or a sign of ghosts!
What did you say the third sign of paranormal activity was, Morris?
The tolling of a bell!
If the tolling of a bell was the third sign of ghostly activity, it was time to ring in the witching hour.
The bell!
A chill in the air. Flickering lights. The tolling of the bell.
Do you think it's...
Ghost! Run for your life! Start that, you blasted car?
Why are we not moving, Musket?
Because out of that long line of automobiles on Delancey Street, you decided to steal something less reliable than a politician's promise! Start, you rust bucket!
It started, Musket.
There we go! And now, we floor it!
We crashed, Musket.
I can see that we crashed, Morris. Well, there's only one thing we can do.
What's that, boss?
Run for our lives!
Scattered throughout the church were the rum runners' barrels, each filled with illicit alcohol. The window is even more beautiful in person, adorning the altar below it like a crown. And that's when I noticed something. Below the window was a cross-shaped indentation in the wood that made me think something was missing. Taking the book, I realized it was an old Bible, with a thicker layer of dust than a nudist's summer wardrobe. I decided to leave the fan running.